ACDC are a rock band who are mostly Australian, and they are one of the most successful rock bands of all time. They were formed in 1973 by Malcolm and Angus Young, who were the guitarists, who were brothers. And in 1974, they were joined, as well as other people, by Bon Scott, who was their vocalist for quite a while. In 1975, they released their first album. In 1980, Bon Scott died, unfortunately, and he was replaced by Brian Johnson, who is not Australian. In fact, Wikipedia says Geordie vocalist Brian Johnson, which is true in two senses, because not only was he the vocalist of the band Geordie, he also is a Geordie, as in he comes from Newcastle in England. They've had several other membership changes over the years, but since 1980, Brian Johnson has been their perpetual singer, and they still have Malcolm and Angus Young, who are the driving force behind the band. And so far, they have released 18 studio albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was AC/DC's fourth studio album, and it's right in the middle of the Bon Scott era of AC/DC. At the time, it was their most successful album. They've had more successful albums since. And it's not an album that I know. I know of AC/DC. I do have some of their albums, but this is not one that I have listened to in the past. So I would describe this as being hard rock, heavy rock, that kind of term. There's definitely kind of a strong blues influence in here. I would not say that it's going so far as being classifiable as heavy metal. Heavy metal's always been a bit kind of fuzzy-edged, and it certainly was in the 70s. They described it as being rock and roll, and I think I would pretty much agree with that in terms of rock and roll as it was in the 70s, not like 50s rockabilly style rock and roll. There are two guitars here, and they have a very distinguishable sound as AC/DC. It's quite tight and crisp. Musically on this album, so this is going to be I feel like this is a strange comparison, but to me they sounded musically quite like Status Quo. Now, Status Quo are a British band who are known for their kind of fairly formulaic blues rock formula. Of course, AC/DC actually been hugely more successful than Status Quo, so more people watching this will know what AC/DC are like rather than Status Quo, so sorry about that. There's a lot of driving beats here. It's a good aesthetic to the sound. It's definitely kind of strong and upbeat and energetic. It's good music. I like it. It's got a great rock feel to it. Bon Scott's vocals, this is another distinguishing factor of AC/DC at this time. He has quite a unique sound to his voice. His vocals are often quite down in the mix, but you can still hear what he's singing most of the time. He sounds a bit like, describe him as a creaky gnome. It's an odd voice. It's a good voice, but it's quite unusual. And it's very expressive, and it's got this kind of cheeky feel to it, which works really well with quite a few of the songs here. So the lyrics, now to some extent it's kind of standard rock fare, but actually AC/DC tend to have a little bit of an edge to them on the lyrics. So some of the lyrics are dull, especially the kind of the Rock and Roll Damnation, I think, which was designed to be a more commercial song. Most of them are better than that. There's some of them that have just got a little bit of a sense of humour to them, or a slightly different kind of angle of attack. I particularly liked lyrically "Give Me a Bullet," which the line is something like "Give me a bullet to bite on, give me a bullet." and I'll imagine it's you. Yeah, give me a bullet to chew. That's it. That's the rhyme. Yeah, and it's like I'm not quite sure in what sense he's imagining that somebody when he's biting on this bullet. Anyway, interesting. Down Payment Blues is quite cool. Sin City is about Las Vegas. There's a track, Riff Raff, which has a nice extended instrumental section at the start before the singer starts, and it's again quite a good song. I'm not really sure about. There's a song called "What's Next to the Moon," and that doesn't seem to be the focus of the song, and the line seems to kind of come in randomly around the rest of the song, so I didn't understand that one. At this point, I'm going to say I'm not actually sure which version of the album I've been listening to, because there are several versions around. There was a US and Australian version. I'm not sure if they were exactly the same. There was a European version. There was a rushed out version, and later versions are slightly different. So there's different kind of elements to the mixes and different versions of this album. So I don't know which one I was listening to, but whichever one it was, I enjoyed it. It's a good album. It's strong. It's got its own identity. It's got a great feel to it. So that's what I think. I'd love to know what you think. So please let me know in the comments box. That's it from me for now.